bicycle or whatever, and then eat and come, or bring food from home and things like that. I said that these are not the employee-friendly or people-friendly attitudes that the institutions must have. So we did a whole lot of things where the rule was not there for startup companies, especially export-oriented units. You don't have to give a provident fund or a bonus or superannuation and gratuity and things like that for the first 5 years. I said no. In good and bad times, if I make money, I share. If I come by car, I provide a bus. If I'm eating, if I want to, people are working for 8-10 hours at a factory, they must enjoy food first. So you open a canteen, give them for education. In fact, we are one of the few companies who pay for education without taking a bond or a guarantee from the employee. Because I said that if he's a graduate and I'm instrumental in his becoming a postgraduate, and because of that he finds a better job elsewhere which I can't give, I should blame myself rather than forcing him to work for me here. I'm happy for him that he has become a postgraduate. I can always recruit him as a graduate. So the idea is orientation towards people is very easy phrase to talk about. It takes consistent and correct and from the heart implementation at all times for people to discern it, believe it, imbibe it, and that is the culture that we want to develop, because people are very discerning. I mean, they see through sham, they see through the cloak of ambiguity. They see through you as a person who's scheming. So you have to be as plain and as simple and as honest and as conscientious as possible, because you really want to do it, you do it. Nobody is forcing me to do what I did, right? So that kind of a transparency and that kind of in Hindi they say niyat is extremely important, and that is what has given Orchid the kind of a platform where the employee attrition rate in Orchid is one of the least in the industry. And what we do at the technological level, I talked about the PhDs and other people, at the operating level we also adopt certain practices which are very different from other companies. Because if some scientist comes up with an idea, I instantaneously make a decision to give an opportunity to convert that idea into reality. Means that, I give an example, there is a product called cefazolin, which is a cephalosporin injectable product, which is an antibiotic. Bristol Myers Squibb is the inventor of that. Fujisawa was the inventor in Japan. They licensed it to BMS for sale in America. So to produce, to make the cefazolin, we require to use a gas called boron trifluoride. And in gas form, it is very difficult gas to handle. In liquid form, boron trifluoride ether is a bit easier to handle. But if you use BF3 in the gas form, you get better yields, you have a new process, you have a patent, it is much more environmentally friendly in one sense of the term, you get very good yields, the transformation is complete, the cost is less, and you have advantages galore. But it requires a very high technical scientific way of handling it with the double piping, electropolished and stuff like that with the safety mechanism. It required an investment of $1 million in those days, in late 90s I'm talking about, just as an example. There are so many of them like this in the company. But I said that, okay, let's go ahead and make this investment. And we did that, we got the patents, we have consistently been one of the first companies to launch cefazolin as soon as the product patent expired. And we continue to hold more than 70% market share in that US market thanks to the technology that these people have done. The main point there is that scientists, there cannot be a bigger recognition, in my opinion. Designation, salary, other things are definitely important, but definitely not more important than the opportunity that he got in the company to demonstrate what he can do with his science and technology. And because of his innovation backed by the investment and completed support from the top management, he is able to see his product, his process, his technology, his patent work in advanced countries, and he is very less likely to leave this organization for something else, even if somebody else gives him a few bucks more. So the kind of satisfaction that the engineers and scientists get in our company, because we are able to give shape to their dreams, to convert them into reality, is one of the cornerstones of the company. So in terms of employee orientation, and these kinds of things, when you do it consistently and more so in good times because you can afford it, will make people endear themselves to you when the going is not so good, right? So that is what we are experiencing, because we have had our own shares of ups and downs, and I'll come to that. In the last 4 years, the problem has been we had made tremendous amount of investments in factories in Chennai as well as in Aurangabad and in China and in so many other places. The international companies, many times, they try to delay the onset of generic products because they would like to protect their turf. So they can delay our entry by filing court cases, by saying we are infringing on their patents and things like that. But if they have patents, we have patents. If they have FDA approvals, we have FDA approvals. If they have chemists, we have chemists. So if they have technology, we have technology. It's not that we are trying to have some Mickey Mouse patents and trying to infringe on their toes. Far from true. So we fought out all those cases, launched all the products, but there has been delay, and that because of that delay, our balance sheet got affected quite a bit. We had quite a bit of loans. So I had to actually sell some portion of the injectable dosage form division to a company called Hospital a couple of years ago, and get $400 million and pay down debt and things like that. So we had to do a lot of corporate balance sheet management by way of picking horses for courses. So even in those times, what I did, including all the employees, I mean, either the deal will go through only if all employees untouched with same benefits and policies also taken over by the new company. So not hitting anybody below the belt, always keeping employees' satisfaction and goal in mind has been the one cornerstone, because of which, in spite of that kind of an up and down, like a salmon, we also could go and swim against the tide and still come up trumps. Now what is the challenge that Orchid is facing? The challenge is one of anticipation. Like in the next 3, 4, 5 years, what is likely to happen in the world market, which products are going to go off patent, which companies might do what, and for that, how to sow the seeds right now, because we have to anticipate, program it, and sow the seeds now to be able to launch those products when the time comes. So this is an anticipation, is a kind of a game or a requirement. It's very difficult for the companies to get it right, how many number of times you try it. But that is why we are now having a kind of a cross-functional team, and we are given the HR a very new definition, because earlier there was nothing like an HR department, right? Earlier it used to be a personal department. Their job is to mark attendance and pay salaries. That's all was the job. And then it transformed a little bit into IR problems. Like if there is a strike or something like that, you handle it. You first do things or don't do things which will not prevent a strike from happening. Then you solve the strike and say that you have done something. So that's the kind of HR management used to be there. But nowadays the definition is totally different. HR department is supposed to understand the complete vision, plan, and the strategy of the company, articulated to the prospective employees, and bring them together and ask them to share in the vision of the company. So to get people who can think like management strategists and chart the course of the company for the next 4 or 5 years is the biggest task that we have now. So we are working very closely with the HR department to be able to get such people who can anticipate, plan strategies for the growth of the company in the next 4 or 5 years. So every 4 or 5 years, the demand and the requirement of challenges has been changing at Orchid, and everywhere the cornerstone of that is orientation towards people, be with the people, do something for them and with them. So I would like to conclude by saying 2 or 3 things. One is, in terms of strategy, I think when you start something, whether in your own business or in the new companies or in the companies where you work, there will be 3 things that you need to take care of. One is on the strategic side, other is operational side, and other is individual side. I think on the strategy side, we already talked about every 4 or 5 years the strategy needs to be rigid. Anticipation is the name of the game, and you have to provide horses for courses from the strategy point of view. Operationally, what we have done is that we have, right early in the game, we try to understand what is controllable and what is not controllable by the company. Competition, not in our control. Price behavior internationally, not in our control. Outside economic forces, whether it is international inflation or oil prices and other commodity prices, not in your control. But what is in your control? You can decide the product mix that you want to do. You can decide the integration level that you can go to. You can decide on cost cutting. You can decide on people management and HR practices. You can create cross-functional teams to be able to create project leaders irrespective of the levels of the people. For a given project, if one product has to go to the American market for the first time across the world, you are the first generic company to do that. Then the scientist who has developed that process becomes the leader. The marketing guy who may be a senior vice president, he is a member of the team, he is not the leader of the team. There could be another manufacturing manager who is a member of the team, not the leader of the team. So you create teams and reward them on that kind of a basis. So operationally you bring about new things which are fitting into the new definition as we speak now, is the one which differentiate a company, which will differentiate a company from a good company from a bad company. Because the same Sulflexin, if you do the same way, 10 years ago the Sulflexin price was $143 a kilo. Today it is just $43 a kilo. It's not possible to, it's impossible to reduce the manufacturing cost by $100 in a $143 selling price product. So what do? You diversify the product mix, you add value by making it to a dosage form, you create a different dosage form to get a 505(b)(2) or a 3-year exclusivity approval, you make injectable products more than the oral products where the competition is limited. You anticipate which products will go off patent and reduce the dependence on such products which will taper off. As I mentioned before, the competition kills you. You reinvent yourself. These are all things we have to continuously do. For that, what do you do? Everything is changing. But what is the constant factor? Constant factor is the people. As long as the people are there who are committed to this cause and have the vision and the teamwork as a cornerstone of the company, definitely you will succeed. And at the personal level, I would like to say that 3 things we have differently adopted in the company. One is the complete orientation of the people. I gave this R&D example of giving an opportunity to convert a vision into reality is one thing that we have done. The second thing is I always articulate to people, whoever joins us, every month we have a meeting for the freshers, as well as every quarter we have a meeting at different factories. Every visitors may go to factories and talk to them. Every year we have an annual day, annual sports event in which I also participate and play, much less cricket these days, but personally for me. But other games I participate. We have picnics, we have a complete team and family orientation every year. Consistently we do it for the last 19 years, and every time I tell them that we all come from different backgrounds, right? Educational, social, financial, but what is common among all of us? We're all human beings, right? You have to give respect, take respect, and value a person as a person. Hierarchy is only a structure for the company, but otherwise, outside the boardroom or outside the office, or even within the office, but outside my functional dress, I'm as good or as bad as you are, in the sense that we're all equal, we're all people. So the dignity of level is extremely important. Also, another thing that we practice is that everything is important. Every work is important, every person is important. The moment a person feels that he is inferior to the work or vice versa, then there is going to be a problem in the organization. So we say that every job, every work is important, dignity of labor is important. And the third and most important personal value system I have always inculcated and practiced is communicate. Communicate more when things are bad. Communicate more when you are anticipating something which may not be very positive. It could be ordained by a variety of circumstances, some of which are not in your control. But if you communicate, you share your wealth as well as your problems, definitely there are hundreds and thousands of people who will support you and work with you. So the last piece of advice that I want to give you youngsters is that you are at a very, very advantageous position compared to when I started the company or even before, right? Advantages are obvious to all of you. India itself is a big advantage because India in the world market or world map is having the most prominent role now compared to, let's say, 20, 30 years back. So you are at a stage of your lives and careers when India itself is growing, glowing and shining, right? Secondly, the kind of opportunities that are there in each of these fields, the kind of innovations that have happened in the last 20 years is phenomenal, mind-blowing. So that many more opportunities we have. Even in pharmaceutical space itself, we have this genomics and proteomics and biology and biotechnology. These were unheard of terms 20 years ago, right? In non-pharmaceutical terms, even right from the mobile phones to the connectivity to the iPads and iPhones and many of these products, the non-existent internet, nothing was there 25, 30 years ago when we started the company. So we have opportunities, multitude of opportunities that you have. And the third advantage what you have is age. You guys can work for 25, 30, 40 years from now, which is not possible for people like Ajay and me anymore from now. So the point is that you have age on your side, you have opportunity on your side, you have India shining as a kind of a platform.